to us. All right, we're getting support from the cars driving by. Hello.
They probably got their Uncle Louis in here.
Hey, Paul, how you doing?
Good.
It's good to see you.
It's so good to be here in the presence of one of Canada's political prisoners.
Right over there.
Leroy.
Canadian hero, Leroy St. Germain. Yeah, we just had a little talk with him. And I'll get him in focus. There he is. All right.
He got a year in jail. He got a year for publishing satire, jokes about about privileged minorities. So it's really good that, I mean, some people when they're finished with the justice system want to be as far away from it as possible, but he's right here in front of the big monster, and that's where they're keeping political prisoner, my friend, your friend, Dr. James Sears. That's our Culminum prison, for those who...
Right on. Nice. This is very good. We're getting a lot of support here, Paul. It was well worth showing up just to get the word out.
Absolutely. And for those people who say, well, it doesn't do any good, just the opposite. We're getting attention because of your work. This is up on the internet. And because we hear from Dr. Sears from time to time, we found out that he was not given the judgment that came down on the 16th of July, turning down his application for leave to appeal. He did, as of the 29th of July, he didn't even know about it. And
was it June or July, Paul?
July.
Okay, thank you.
And then he was asked, well, have you received any of the letters or postcards that we know have been sent to you? And he said he had received a thing. Well, we put that up on the internet on, I think, on the 30th, and lo and behold, last Tuesday, he started getting his mail.
Yeah, Paul, it's important for us, the Canadians, to think of those people that, you know, some minority supremacists or Jewish supremacists put in prison. There's people all over the world, like Alfred Schaefer, in the same position, and with much worse sentences to serve. And Alfred himself, he has to serve almost a floating sentence, because he'll almost be sentenced again, I'm sure, for defending himself again. You know what I mean? Again, I don't think it'll ever stop. They just compound the sentencing in Germany. You know what I mean? And that stuff is the reason it's important to mention people like Alfred. Are these globalists walk in lockstep with one another? So whatever happens in some other part of the world can very well happen here, and it should be expected that this kind of thing will happen here, even more severely than it's been happening now.
Oh, you're right. The globalists are always copying each other's repressive tactics. They know there's opposition right across the world to them, and they do their best to squash it. That's, for instance, right now they're trying to interfere in the election in Hungary because Hungary has a very good leader with Viktor Orban, who's against the LGBTQ agenda. He believes in secure borders for his country. Well, that's exactly the opposite of globalism. And of course, he's a strong critic of he was once a fellow countryman, George Soros, the arch conspirator, the person who's funded things like Black Lives Matter and so on. And a lot of the immigration invasion in Europe is funded by Soros. So the globalists are trying to, interfere in the election and try to get rid of him. The globalists, of course, coordinate and cooperate. And we know this from some of the writers I follow, who are among the worst proponents of censorship in Canada. People like this guy who seems to be given a huge column in the Globe and Mail every Friday, Avi Ben Lolo.
Oh, that guy? Isn't he with B'nai B'rith or something like that?
No, he was with the Center for, the Friends of the Simon Wiesenthal Center.
Oh, yeah.
And he has,
the Jewish terrorist group, I see. They try to scare Canadians into being quiet. It ain't working, boys.
I could write his column for him, because every column is always the same. The anti-Semitism is worse than it's ever been. We need more laws, more suppression of expressions on the internet. I mean, I could write the columns for him because every single one is roughly the same thing.
Well, they even lie about what anti-Semitism is. I mean, if you support Israel, you're anti-Semitic because they're killing Semitic Palestinians. It's crazy. These guys lie about everything. Lie about the Holocaust. Holy shit, man.
Well, what they're doing here is that really any criticism of Jews or a Jew is anti-Semitism.
Yeah, like that new law. Hey, Paul, you wrote a really good article on Bill 168.
Yeah, back there a few months back. We have to establish a principle that freedom of speech is vital. That I don't have the right not to be offended. Now, you may say something, I don't like what you're saying, I don't agree with it, I feel insulted, I feel hurt, tough titty. And similar, I'll say things that may offend you. That's what a healthy adult society is like, rather than a society, as I heard Leroy telling you a little earlier, where people are afraid. Well, it's a Canada where you have to be afraid of what you say or who might hear you. Why should you have to be afraid? That becomes like a childlike society. I've got to be afraid lest Daddy hears what I say and cuff me on my ear. I know that's parenting of a few generations ago, but a society of people who are terrified and afraid. And of course, the capacity for insult is endless. I mean, how do I even know what'll offend you? I understand, I believe it's a university in Minnesota that has recently removed a large rock because I think they said some Native students were offended by a rock.
A rock?
How the heck would I know that a rock would offend somebody?
What was the reason, do you know?
No. I mean, it was a very...
We won't be apologists for rock haters.
It's because of a very unhealthy society where people are silenced on the basis of offense, and I can see people were offended. Minorities with something to hide were very offended by Dr. Sears' satire, because the one thing that hurts more than a direct criticism is laughter. Now, you make somebody look ridiculous. That's far worse than calling them a name.
Yeah, like we got that rabbi last week. We did a good job on there last time, eh, Paul?
That was quite something. Yeah,
it showed well on the internet.
He'd been assaulted by some words or something.
Yeah, he got hit with words. Ouch. Damn.
But you see,
Give me a Band-Aid.
And the mischievous thing about this is, it's not across the board. Now, you know, if people could be censored because they criticize things that are important to me, like the Christian religion, our proud European history, heritage in Canada. I mean, I wouldn't want that. But that's not the way it works. It's only privileged minorities that get to say, I'm offended, I need a safe space, and you better better shut up or we'll shut you up.
It's not even democratic. How can a minority in a democracy order the majority around? I mean, it's undemocratic, and that's like Israeli shit. That's what they did. That's how they became the majority in Israel, is they screwed the Palestinians over and kept stepping on them with their minority privilege, and then eventually they became the majority there. It's insane.
Well, that is what's happening to us. But one of the pillars of a healthy, free society is freedom of speech. If you don't have that, what do you have? And increasingly in Canada, people are afraid to open their mouths for fear they'll lose their job, because many employers do not respect basic freedoms. Heck, they don't even respect your freedom not to wear a mask, let alone freedom of speech.
Yeah, there seems like there's as much of a difference between our representatives and the people who are running this prison. You know what I'm saying, Paul? It's they're not running it for our benefit, but as you know, basically the inmates are not in control of this prison.
No.
And we're not in control of our nation. So that's the parallel I'm making here.
Yeah, which of our elected representatives, other than Maxime Bernier, he's not elected right now, and then Randy Hillier and maybe a few of the Conservatives have stood up for free speech.
Oh, let's back up, ladies walking through.
She picked up her piece. She, as a person that looks as though she's from China, she probably recognizes what a prison means. And Canadians are going to have to recognize this too. This is increasingly a shut up or go to jail society.
It is.
I mean, the fact that a medical doctor is sitting and a writer is sitting in there is a scandal. And a further scandal is the fact that virtually nobody in the mass media says there's something wrong with this.
Well, they're part of the other team there, Paul. We've seen their actions. And speaking of the Chinese lady walking by, some Chinese immigrants, they're not all agents and spies or criminals, but some of these guys can really be insightful for us, or pardon me, give us their insights on what life was like under a communist system. You know what I mean? And people like this are good to have in Canada because they warn us of other things. The problem is that people never listen to these folks.
Well, I was at a rally yesterday at the Mississauga City Hall by people that were protesting the burning and desecration of Christian churches across Canada. Most of the people in that group were third worlders, and several of them said things like, I came from a country where there was no religious freedom. I came from a country like Pakistan where Christians are persecuted. I never thought I would be in Canada and see Christian churches being burned, and hardly any politician opening their mouth. That is really the sick thing. That if it was somebody scrawling a silly thing on a synagogue, you'd have every donkey politician down there looking very solemn and promising new laws and a crackdown and bigotry will not be tolerated.
And they give them $6 million like Bill Blair did just a couple weeks ago with that rabbi, that we were talking about, to his, whatever the hell. He was associated with some people that got $6 million. It's always $6 million. You know what I mean? Why wasn't it $271,301 like the Red Cross said?
Why was
it?
Why was it
always $6 million? $6 million balls. Fuck us. $6 million blowjobs.
Why was it a single cent at all? It should be up to them. The police should protect institutions, and other security should be private. But anyway, I wonder if the Christian churches are going to be getting money for security.
That's it, Paul. I got a little comment from the peanut gallery. I lost my train of thought there, but it was good to talk to you, Paul. And we hope that James will be released by I have no faith in that at all. I think that he's going to be riding in there until he's done.
Well, let me urge people, and you'll be able to put this at the end of the film, to write to him in prison. It doesn't matter whether you know him or not. Send him a card, even if it's just 2 words. Hang in there. This really matters. It's hard to emphasize how much it matters. Not for his morale, although that's important. He's a strong guy, but as a message to the tyrants, the guards and the whole system. We're watching him.
Yeah, take good care of our boy.
Yeah.
He's our man. He's the Canadian, the man of the hour right now, who stood up against these scumbags who think that people are all animals, creating a human form to serve them. All right, and they called him, in their stupid newspapers, they called him the hater. Yep. James stood up for Canada. He stood up against this garbage hate that these people purvey, all right?
And he did it with class and humor. I mean, I know that's really what bugs them, the laughs. I mean, your war news was funny.
It was.
Well, I guess nobody likes to be laughed at.
Paul, I would laugh for hours just thinking, running over the same infantile things in my head sometimes when I used to work on machinery. You know what I mean? It was just, it was quite a thing for me to get that newspaper and have a good laugh. It was great knuckle-dragging humor written by intelligent people.
Well, I'm an English scholar, and I know satire when I see it, and it's among the finest satire I've seen written in Canada in many, many years. It was a great thing, and it's typical of our soulless ruling elite that man is in prison.
It is. It's wrong. Just for that. I mean, you can go to jail in Canada now just for that, Paul. There was no violence involved at all.
No.
It was all good-natured fun. You know what I mean? Just because some supremacists who hate humanity, who aren't like them, didn't like it, they're un-Canadian anyway, right? And why should we care about what they think? And these are the kind of people that threw James in jail. Make no mistake about it, folks. It was them that threw James in jail, no one else. All right,
Thanks.
Paul. Have a very good day, Paul. Thank you.
Will do.
All right, guys. So that ends another report from the Toronto South Detention Center in Toronto at 160 Horner Ave. You can stage your own protest if you'd like. You don't have to have me tell you this, but I'm just glad that you guys know now about what happened to Mr. James Sears and also Mr. Leroy St. Germain, that they were thrown in prison for expressing themselves and being a little bit informative. They weren't being hateful just to step on other people for no good reason. They weren't being hateful at all. They were just exposing the hate of some religious people who don't like us Canadians with Western values, okay? And a lot of people from all over the world become Canadians, and they love our Western values, and that's why they're here. All right, guys, have a great day.